Hello everyone, my name is Monto Umiakiwoga and I'm an Executive Research Officer for the ThinkCyber Nigeria Kaizen program. The Kaizen program is a hands-on learning series which is designed to bridge the gap between learning and cybersecurity practice. In this video, we'll be covering Aragog, Fox, and Brainpan 1. Aragog and Fox are part of the Harry Potter machine series, while Brainpan 1 and Fox are focused on buffer overflow exploits. This gives us a unique chance to explore web challenges as well as dive into buffer overflow techniques, moving from enumeration to exploitation and then to privilege escalation. Welcome to the Kaizen series and let's get started.
By the way, if you're looking to level up your career, ThinkCyber Nigeria's next cybersecurity training kicks off on the 12th of January 2026. This advanced program offers real-world labs and simulations, organization tracks in pension testing, stock operation, and digital forensics, a pathway to Tier 2 professional readiness. However, late registration are still on till the 15th of September 2025 for the August 25th session that just kicked off. Whether you're a student, graduate, or tech-driven professional, this is your opportunity to stand out in the global cybersecurity job market. Applications are now open. Join the next elite cohort. Let's dive in.
Now, starting with the Aragog machine. The Aragog machine is designed as a vulnerable WordPress environment which simulates real-world web application weaknesses. The main security issues were outdated plugins, hard-coded database credentials, weak passwords, and misconfigured cron jobs. These flaws allowed me to gain remote code execution through a plugin, escalate privileges using exposed credentials, and ultimately achieve root access. So I started with host discovery. I started with host discovery. I initiated with Net Discover to pinpoint the target machine's IP address within the network. Then I did a comprehensive nmap scan which revealed two ports, port 22 and port 80.
Now that we know this, we can go ahead and move on to the enumeration phase, whereby we used a tool called GoBuster to perform a directory brute force on the target. And here's the default URL page, which is the 17, just the IP address basically, and you get an image. And here is the GoBuster results. So with the GoBuster result, we're able to find it had a /blog subdomain and also a /JavaScript. With this, I went ahead to perform further enumeration by performing another directory brute force on the /blog subdomain, where I was able to find that it was a WordPress based site. So basically they use the WordPress content management system. As you can see here, you have the wp login.php, the readme.html, the wp trackback.php, the wp admin, and the index.php. Knowing this, I went ahead to use the WordPress scanner to perform further enumeration. So initially, I was unable to get access to the /blog subdomain. Reason being, the domain name was not in my host file or my Kali, so I went ahead to edit my host file to include this. So when you first visit the main URL, you can view the resource page of the /blog, and you can see over here where it says http://wordpress.aragog.org. So this is the actual domain name. So I went ahead to put this in my host file, which can be seen here, the IP address and the wordpress.aragog.org. Now after doing this, I was able to view the penetration testing processes from foothold to privilege escalation and also setting up of listeners. So here it's being shown. I searched for the exact exploit, which is the search CVE 2020-25213. And upon searching for it, I was able to find this, which is the WP file manager _RC, which is exactly what I do need. So I went ahead to set all necessary options, in which the options needed to be set included the rhost. The rhost is the target IP address, while the target URI is the subdomain, which is this blog. So that's basically /blog. And once you set this, you set your local host, which is your IP address, and your local ports, basically the intended port you want to use for these particular exploits. Upon setting all of these necessary options, you can go ahead and run it, and upon running, I was able to gain foothold, which can be seen here. I gained foothold as a normal user, basically a limited user, www data.
So now that I've gained a foothold, it was time for me to get started on privilege escalation. So immediately I tried to check for services for files with the SUID bit set, but I did not find any. So I navigated around and I found users Genie and Hagrid 98. I found their user directories, and when I navigated to that of Genie, there was nothing inside. So I checked the one for Hagrid 98 and I discovered the first Horcrux. So upon further enumeration of the directory, I found a wp-config.php file, and in the file it pointed me towards the /etc WordPress config default PHP file. So I checked the contents and it gave me database credentials of root and the password. So I logged in using my SQL as root and I entered the password. It gave me access to the SQL as root, meaning that I had all the privileges just in the SQL. So going from there, I checked all the databases. Then out of all the databases, I saw the WordPress database. So I accessed the WordPress database and I checked the tables and I saw the users in the tables. So I checked the contents of the user table and it gave me a password for Hagrid 98, although it was hashed. So I used John the Ripper to crack the hash and it gave me the password credential. So I used it to log in via SSH as Hagrid 98. So I was able to escalate privilege from www-data to Hagrid 98. So upon inspecting the system, I identified a hidden cron related script which was running in the /opt directory and it was named .backup.sh. So I appended a reverse shell command to the script and I set up a listener. And when the cron job was executed, a reverse shell was successfully obtained on my end. And
here is a brief summary of the walkthrough, which I did in a tree-like structure. It goes from discovery to the enumeration to the foothold and finally the privilege escalation phase. Aside from this,
now moving on to the Aragog mind map. This mind map summarizes the entire pen test in a structured way. Under host discovery, we show how NetDiscover and Nmap identify the target. Enumeration captures directory discovery and plugin identification. Exploitation shows gaining the web shell via the WP File Manager plugin, and privilege escalation details moving from database credentials to root access, making the whole process easier to follow at a glance. Now, this HTML template is designed for documenting weekly Kaizen activities. It is filled with all the Aragog steps from discovery, enumeration, and foothold to privilege escalation. So for the discovery phase, we used Nmap and NetDiscover. The approach or technique was to use NetDiscover to identify the target IP address and use Nmap for full port scan. And the uniqueness of this technique was that the full port scan helps to detect hidden services early. For the enumeration phase, the tools and services used were Nmap, Derbuster, and WP Scan, also StegHide. And the technique was to use Nmap to enumerate the port and trying StegHide on the image, then running Derbuster and finding the block directory, then using WP Scan with enumeration flags and finding the vulnerable plugin. Then for the foothold, the exploit used was the WP File Manager plugin, which we found via the Metasploit, then launching the exploits and setting the remote host, listening host, and target URI to the WordPress plugin directory. Then that was where I was able to gain reverse shell as the www-data user. Then moving on to the privilege escalation, the method used was enumeration of the wp-config.php file, which pointed to the config default.php and then extracted database credentials, logged into MySQL as root, then cracked the Hagrid98 hash which was found in the database and logged in successfully as Hagrid98, then found root cron job running on /opt/backup.sh, then injected reverse shell into the script, then using that we caught the root shell. So in conclusion, this machine highlighted real-world risks in WordPress security, as vulnerable machines can provide remote code execution, hard-coded database root credentials are dangerous, weak user passwords are easily cracked, writable cron jobs create an easy root escalation path. So strong patching, password policies, and least privilege principles are critical defenses.
By the way, if you're looking to level up your cybersecurity career, ThinkCyber Nigeria has got you covered. The next cyber simulator training kicks off on August 25th of 2025.